Say it like
We can call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, if you can call the roll, please.
Mayor Miller.
Here.
Alderperson Clem will be marked absent for the moment. Monroe is also absent. Simmons. Here. Parker.
Here.
Stacy. Here. Shadle.
Here.
Sanders is absent, and Sellers.
here.
We have the
We
quorum.
have a quorum, yes. Sorry, Chair.
If you could join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance And item 4 is approval of the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have Alderperson Clem or not yet, Kurt? Okay,
Yes,
Oh, I'm sorry.
we'll need to vote
Madam
him in,
Mayor.
please.
We need a motion for that.
Yes, please.
We need a
Second.
motion by Parker, second by Sellers to have Alderman Clem attend remotely. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'm so sorry, Chair, because it's remote, all votes will need to be roll call.
Okay. If you could call the roll then, please.
Simmons,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Stacy,
Aye.
Shadle,
Aye.
and Sellers.
Aye.
The motion passes 5-0. Alderperson Clem will be marked present at 5:21 PM.
Can we hear from Alderman Clem? Make sure he's in.
yes, I'm here.
Thank you.
I'm here.
Item 4 is approval of the agenda.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Sellers, second by Parker. Madam Clerk?
Clem, Alderperson Clem, this is approval of the
Aye.
agenda. What say you?
Aye.
Simmons?
Aye.
I just realized I am on the wrong sheet. That will be my problem later. Parker?
Aye.
Stacy?
Aye.
Shadle?
Aye.
And Sellers.
Aye.
The motion passes 6-0.
And public comments on agenda items? Darren, could you check, please?
I don't think there was anyone else.
Nothing on that. We would go to item 6 is discussion of the following budgets by Manager Boyer and Director Richter. We're going to be covering street improvement fund, water operating budget, sewer operating budget, storm operating budget, capital equipment fund, capital budget water, capital budget sewer, and capital budget storm. Manager Boyer.
Yep, thank you. And good evening, council. So we'll go ahead and get started on capital projects. The first slide here has transportation, facilities, and water projects. So I'm just going to kind of go over some of the major projects that we're working with, and after we get done with that, we'll move on to the water fund. So we're still finishing up work on Adams Avenue. We got about $1 million left of work out there, so that will probably come through the finance department sometime early next year. So we went ahead and budgeted $1 million to finish out the Adams Avenue project. We've also budgeted $500,000 for the Hancock Bridge. We won't be moving forward with it rapidly, but we need some money in the budget so that when we complete the viaduct, we're able to move forward with the Hancock Bridge. So we're estimating about $500,000 worth of work there. The viaduct, we've added in the street portion, we've budgeted about $800,000. That would get us moving forward on the street portion of the viaduct, but there's a couple other sections that the viaduct falls under. One is stormwater, one is sewer and water. We've also got crack sealing and hot mix in this particular, so that would be, I'm sorry, I didn't realize this is a touchscreen here. We've got $1 million scheduled for that, and that'll be through MFT. And then our street maintenance plan, we have $3 million budgeted, and that would be our 2025 street program, and that's funded through the 1% sales tax. We've got a $500,000 electric vehicle EV charging infrastructure, and that's assuming we get it. There's about a $320,000 was the total grant with a 20% match, which is about $180,000. Now we've got a downtown parking lot replacements. As you know, the the municipal lot in front of the Stewart Center, and also the lot next to the Lindo, or that the Lindo uses, but across the street from Licky's, is in pretty bad shape, and so we're budgeting about $2 million, and we're going to be pursuing grant money for that. So that project will move forward, assuming we receive those grants. Under the police, under facilities, we're looking at a new police department, so we're budgeting $101.7 million for a building rehab, $300,000 for a purchase price. So that gets us moving forward with the new police station. If you're unfamiliar, the current police station, due to its age and the very extensive HVAC work that's necessary, it is very expensive. I think it would cost around $600,000 to $800,000 to do that repair, and the police department has pretty much outgrown their current facility. City Hall, we're budgeting $200,000 for storm windows. Again, the City Hall is a historic building, and one of the issues we've had is, of course, we have single pane windows here in the wintertime that makes it more expensive to heat, and it creates issues of draftiness, and also in the freezing temperatures, the ice builds up on the inside of the windows as the condensation freezes. Last year, we painted all the window frames appropriately, and this in 2025, we would like to go ahead and put storm windows on there. Now, they are special storm windows that are acceptable to the historic building preservation people. Moving along, we've got the fuel island at the city yards, and we're budgeting $330,000 for that renovation that is required. We passed a resolution earlier this year, and we'll be moving forward with that repair as soon as we can after the end of the year. Then we've got the salt shed. So we've got a couple of structures out at the city yards that contain our road salt for snow plowing and snow removal, and both of those are kind of a pole barn or a pole construction. The poles are suffering damage at the base or the end of the ground, and there's really no way to fix that except to replace them. So we're budgeting $500,000 to replace the salt, at least one, possibly two of the salt sheds. Under water projects, we received a $1.6 million appropriations from Congressman Sorensen. Sorry, didn't want to give him a promotion without a vote, but Congressman Sorensen has found $1.6 million for the city, so this will be integrated with our road program for next year. So as we go through and do these roads, we'll be replacing the water mains in areas that it's necessary. Yes?
Will this be used for the water mains on the roads, the city roads that are on the list for 2025?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, we budgeted $1 million, just anticipating the additional water main heading out west on Stevenson. We also have the viaduct, so there's about $160,000 of water main work that needs to be done at Shawnee at the viaduct, so we're budgeting for that in our capital plan. Also budgeting here, we have about $1 million left on phase 3 of the lead service line replacement program, so we'll be budgeting about $1 million. Again, that's going to be through the EPA forgivable loan funds. We haven't had a match on that. That is just money that the EPA has given to the city of Freeport. Yes.
Back up to the westward water main project.
Yes.
Is that the Open Bible?
Yes, that is Open Bible, Highland College, and about 11 residences.
I have a question.
So we also have a lead service fees.
Question?
Yes. Yes, I'm sorry.
So is that just us making the mains go out to?
Essentially, that's what it is. If we don't, I know that this is still under consideration, but we felt necessary to at least include it in the capital plan because it does impact other individuals and entities. So,
Just one more question.
yes.
Didn't we already was it 69,000? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Did we already, okay 69,000 for, okay,
The design.
for the,
That would be in this year's budget.
oh, okay.
Right, so that was for design engineering for this particular project, and it's also will give us something to submit for grant funding, right? So,
City manager,
yes.
just as a side note, you skipped over the side note that says that we're budgeting that pursuing grants.
Yes, I was just kind of getting into that. So this would be, pursuing grant funds. We need to have the design so we can pursue the grant funds. Okay, so the viaduct, any questions on the viaduct?
No, but I do have a question back up in the transportation project. I know.
Sure.
The downtown parking lots, I know
Yes.
it's saying pursuing available grants.
Yes.
But some of so what are we gonna do if we don't get the grants for the parking lots?
Well, we're going to have to do something different, but right now, the funding source is going to be through grant funding. So, and I think we have a chance at it.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I know that one that's what the Lindell uses and stuff, it is very bad.
Sure.
I feel my own self in there in a hole, so that's why I'm saying I think that's very important to get those parking lots. We don't want somebody else to fall and get hurt.
Right.
really.
Right. Anyway, on lead services phase 4, that's coming up. That should get started. What would you think about the summer of
summer 20.
next year? Okay. So phase 4, we're budgeting about $2 million, and then similar to this year, we've got another $1 million in 2026. And that is again forgivable loan funds through the EPA. Then we have phase 3 and well 12 of the water structures, phase 3 and well 12. In that particular case, we're kind of breaking that over a couple years, so $7 million in 25 and $7 million in 26. And just as a reminder, the funding source on that is we have forgivable loan funds of about $5 million from the EPA, $7 million in emerging contaminants money, and we received about $1 million from Congressman Sorensen for this project.
Okay, also, I know we had said a little bit about oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Talked a little bit about the lawsuit that went through,
Yes.
and some of that money was gonna be used for maybe some of that, or?
It could be part of that as well. Yep. We haven't received it yet. We've submitted several documents to Shikolny, the attorney that's handling the class action suit. So we should be receiving funds anytime. I'm guessing sometime this year
Okay.
or early next year.
Hold on, Stacy.
What is lead services phase 3 and lead services phase 4? What is that exactly?
That is the lead service remediation program we've been working on since 2020. So when we've replaced lead services to individual homes, I think we started out in 3rd and 5th Ward, moved through 7th, and I think we're into 4th and 7th Ward as well. So, yeah, so that was removing the lead services that go to homes and replacing that with a new service line.
And that was with forgivable loans?
Yes, we received something like $12 million in total forgivable loans from the EPA on that. And I might add, I don't know of any other community that's getting that.
You said 12 million?
Yes. Any other questions on lead services?
One more. Great.
Go ahead.
You also had mentioned, I think one time that you said that Freeport might be the first one to get all the lead services.
That's my hope. As
Okay.
a community of our size, I'd like to see us be the first one. I know I've talked to other city managers, and they're scheduling a 40-year replacement program, doing 20 per year for 40 years. Wow. So we're busy doing 3 and 4 and 6, 700 a year. I mean, it really depends on which grant it was, but yeah, we're moving rapidly, and that EPA funding is allowing us to do that.
Okay.
So moving down, we have water structures phase 3. So that's well 12, as I mentioned. We're still looking for the appropriate site for that, but we're hopeful we're going to get something nailed down soon. Water main phase 4 and phase 5. These are placekeepers for water main replacements in the ensuing years. Generator well 8, so there's no backup, current dedicated backup generator for well 8 at Carroll. So one of the things we want to do there is put generator backup on that well. It is one of our production wells. And in addition to that, the water tank and water plant there has no perimeter security, so we want to go ahead and put a fence around the overall site. That's something that needs to be done basically at every water treatment plant or every site that manages municipal water. And then we've got, let's see here. We've got the Carroll Tank rehab coming up. So Carroll Tank is due for a paint job. I don't know the last time we had one. Was it maybe in the 2000s or? Yeah, unfortunately, this type of work needs to be done. You need to be doing this at the outside probably needs to be done every 5 years. And anyway, a total clean and paint job is necessary at Carroll Tank. So we've budgeted some funds for that. And that's kind of everything on water projects. I mean, we've got the Brick Street water plant demo. We can talk about that if you wish, but we're a little short on time, so we're going to have to keep moving here. And then and we're looking to water phase 8, possibly involving Stevenson, new water main on Stevenson, which is 1880s. So on the wastewater projects for next year, it would be including the phase 1 project that'll complete in 2026. We got a lot of work scheduled for next year for wastewater facility phase 1. We've also planned in a renovation of the pumps at the park lift station, and also we've put $1.5 million in for sewer lining. So as we do street reconstructs, we want to make sure that we have budget for the lining, because obviously that activity on top of the ground can be detrimental to the collection system. And we're also planning for new equipment to be installed in the aeration tank at the wastewater plant, namely the aeration diffusers, and a installation of a lift station generator at the park station, the campus station, and the Galena lift station. So these are all remote sites, and when power goes out for any period of time whatsoever, we need to make sure that we have uninterruptible supply of power to these locations, so we maintain our utility. In addition to that, the Walnut lift station, that is a new lift station that is scheduled to be installed at the corner of Lamb Road and Walnut, or near that area. That will convey the wastewater from industry that's generated down on the south end of town through to the interceptor north along Walnut Road. The lift station's necessary because currently everybody on the south end of town is running through an inverted section of sewer main, and that creates a bottleneck, and we have some pretty significant water users there, and we need to make sure that that there won't be any issues there. In addition to that, we've got the Meadows and West Demeter sewer communities program. So these two streets don't have any collection system whatsoever, and we're pursuing Unsewer Communities grant through the EPA for this addition. So Meadowbrook has been one of the streets that needs to be redone, but it also does not have any sewer. There's a handful of places that have lift stations going up the hill, which is sort of a problem, and there's a handful of other people that have septic tanks, but septic tanks have a lifetime. And if you aren't replacing them, if you don't have additional land, which most places don't, you can't redo your leach field. So we want to make sure that we're expanding the collection system to that area. So anyway, stormwater projects, moving along. We've budgeted $150,000 for inlet repairs. So these are your catch basins along the road. Many of them were put together with brick and mortar, and the brick and mortar is failing, and some of them are caving in. When they cave in, the water erodes the road base, and then everything kind of goes into the stormwater system. So we've budgeted $150,000 this year for repairs of that. We've got $250,000 for stormwater for the viaduct at Hancock and Shawnee. That is the stormwater portion that I mentioned earlier. Then we have a large downtown stormwater program. One of the issues is the Benton and Jackson outfall. That is a wood structure that is slowly failing, and we desperately need to get that renovated. So we're pursuing EPA storm grant money for that, and there's a 55-45 match on that. We've also got a few other stormwater projects in the plan here, but they're in the future years. As far as vehicles and equipment, large ticket items are part of our capital plan. This year we're budgeting for a 10-yard dump truck for the water and sewer department, a meter truck with topper for the water and sewer department, a new service truck with a crane for the water and sewer department. We've also budgeted a 5-yard dump truck for the street department, a 1-ton truck for the street department, and we're got some other equipment there for 2026. You can have a look at that when time allows. We're also looking at a new street sweeper. One of the challenges for our construction season has been getting the streets cleaned up and prepared for the tack coat. So we're hoping to purchase an additional street sweeper for that, and also sweeping the streets.
Oh, Stacy?
Yes, back up to the top. Is this the same type of vehicle dump truck that we had budgeted for 2 for this year?
Yes. So we're also looking at our fleet at the police department. We're budgeting for 3 squads this year. In addition to that, we're needing an additional speed trailer. A lot of complaints and a lot of folks requesting a speed trailer be put out at different locations. With all the road work, people are speeding more. And then PD has also requested an evidence drying cabinet and portable radios for 2025.
Great.
Yes. Alderman
What
Sutton.
is thank you, what is a evidence drawing cabinet? What is that?
I'll let Deputy Chief answer that.
So it kind of is exactly what it says, but it's a modern one. So if we have a scene that has evidence that's wet by any other means, then we can safely put it in there. It has filtration to make sure that it dries and that we can maintain the chain of custody and that it doesn't get, kind of messed up. So usually for your more serious crime scenes and the evidence that comes out of there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, in the interest of time, I'd like to move on to Street Improvement Fund. So the Street Improvement Fund, we've got revenue and expenses. As you'll notice at the top, we're going to start with item 318-000-4065, and that is the municipal home rule tax. So this includes the 1% sales tax that was approved and in place. The month of October, we received our first allotment from the state, and it totaled about $307,000. So this is the money we're using to pay for all the street reconstructs. In addition to that, revenue coming into that fund includes the electricity tax. About 40% of that goes to tax payments from ComEd, so 40% of that is from ComEd. Then on the natural gas, again, about 40% of that tax comes to the city and through NICOR. In addition to that, we've got the road improvement fees. So that's, as mentioned there, it's $253,000. That's the $2 on your water bill for streets. So as everybody, a lot of folks question that on their utility bill. They say, well, what's this $2? Why aren't you fixing my street? It generates $253,000 a year and is currently dedicated to servicing bonds that have already been taken out to perform road repairs that are already complete. In addition to that, we've got bad debt expense. Obviously, that's annual write-offs of bank fees of $1,200, so that includes the bank fees from 2 bonds annually. And then moving along down here, we've included rock road material and supplies for street markings, moving them out of the street budget, not completely, but in good part, and moving them into 318. And then capital outlay, we're receiving $3,496,000 for the 2025 road program. So we're budgeting $3.5 million for the 25 road program. Then under transfer out to debt service, we've got the 2019 and 2021 bonds, and those payments are approximately $477,000 a year. Any questions on the street improvement fund?
Yes, I have one.
Yep.
Yes, the miscellaneous local sour, why, in 2023 and 2024, it was 0, and now it's the 92,000? How did that?
In the street improvement fund?
Yes,
Isn't it?
yes. Oh. Michelle.
4750.
That odd number there was a reimbursement made by NICOR for Adams Avenue for
Okay.
something that happened there.
Oh, okay.
Was that for sidewalk? Yeah. Yeah. They had to relocate a high-pressure gas main. They relocated it and redid the sidewalk at the same time. So that was good question.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the street improvement fund? Okay. With that, let's move to capital equipment fund. So our revenue, city gas tax, it's 2 cents a gallon. From any gas station in Freeport generates $170,000 a year. Court supervision fees is about $250,000, and we get that from the circuit clerk. And then fund balance transfers, $100,000, and we're anticipating a carryover from fiscal year '24 of $100,000. And then we have a transfer in part, and that is coming from the general fund at $726,000. So in the capital equipment fund, as we kind of went over with the larger spreadsheet there, we're looking at 10 new portable radios for PD, 3 police vehicles, the speed trailer, which we already discussed, $310,000 for the 5-yard dump truck and 1-ton truck. Then machinery and equipment under $1,000. We have this. Over $1,000 the street sweeper and other enterprise lease vehicle payments. Also lease interest payments. We currently lease a number of our light duty vehicles, and so we've got about $3,600 budgeted for that, and it also includes the Toolcat lease. Actually, it's a loan on the Toolcat, and then 2 hook lift truck payments. And then lastly, we've got the lease principal payments. So that's again the principal portion of these loans at $93,000. Any questions on capital equipment fund? Okay. All right, we'll get into the water fund. The revenue in the water fund is going to be we're estimating $5.5 million through grant revenue. However, when we receive that grant revenue and how much it's going to be something we don't know for sure. We're estimating 5.5, but it could be quite a bit more than that. If you'll go down to industrial services, we receive approximately $240,000 a year in industrial water users. On regular business users, we receive about $385,000 a year. From public entities like the Park District, we receive about $46,000 a year. Under the private fire protection fee, we receive another $105,000 under fire systems. Under service order fees, about $40,000, so non-pay turn-on fees and transfer fees. These are all revenue codes. So miscellaneous fees, $180,000. That's mostly credit card fees. Capital improvement surcharge, that's the item on your water bill for capital improvement. We receive about 2.1 million per year. And then we've got city reimbursement fees, so that's garbage billing reimbursement. That comes to about $8,600 a year. And then other revenue, we return the scrap that we generate on site, and we bring that into Graylings and put that back in the budget. So we're budgeting about $1,000 in revenue there. And then other revenue through rent and lease income, about $3,600, and interest income totals about $150,000. So any questions on the water revenue side? Okay. We're getting short on time, so I'm going to move through the water fund fairly rapidly. Again, as we're looking at wages, we simply included our projected normal 3% increase on wages. However, we're looking at what we can do for our AFSCME people, some of whom are under the water fund. Let's see. So, the OPEB pension expense is about $5,000 a year. That's item 5252. PEP employer contribution, 5295 is about 15,000, close to 16,000 per year. Administrative expense to the city is about 51,000. That covers miscellaneous expenses bore by the city, whether that's legal, insurance, or whatever. Bad debt expense, so we're budgeting about 50,000 here. So this is the annual write-off of unpaid water bills. And we haven't completed this yet for 2024, but we are working on that. And that will be coming before council here before too long. Consulting services, again, this is, we've got about 6,500 budgeted for that. Under lead service line replacements, we've got about $3.4 million budgeted for those. Bearing in mind, those are also forgivable loan funds through the EPA. Asset retirement obligation amortization, so we're budgeting about $25,000 for that. So that's booked at the end of each year by the auditors. Emergency cash fund reserve, we're maintaining, electrical expense, we've got about $250,000. And there's increase due to the fact that we have the new water plant online. Everything in the plant is electric, so there's no gas heaters or anything like that. In engineering, we're looking at $500,000 on the water side, so the water portion of the 2025 street program, the lead services, the water operations support, and so on. And fee in lieu of property tax, so this is a fee in lieu of tax remitted to the city, and we're budgeting about $41,000 there. There's quite a few other items here, but again, diesel and fuel are carryovers from what we anticipate we're going to use. Lab and vendors, lab testing vendors is pretty standard. That's our testing companies that do the water tests that we cannot perform ourselves. Moving on to item 6580, postage and freight.
Manager Boyer, one
Yes,
second.
oh, sorry.
I have a question.
Yep.
The emergency fund cash, I see we budget zero all
Yep.
the way across, so why in 2024 we did 150,000? What was that all about?
I think Michelle can speak to this a little bit more, but I think at this point we're holding off on adding anything to that item until we see where we end up with the overall budget. But Michelle, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I agree with what Manager Boyer said. And a line item called cash reserve, it's more of a indicator to you. It's not a true expense. I can't write a check per se to a person for that. It's basically a one bank account to another bank account kind of thing. So what it does is just inform the council, hey, at the end of the year, we do want to put into our savings bank account $150,000. And like Manager Boyer said, we still, this budget that's presented to you is 99% there. we do plan on presenting any changes again in the middle of November, but we we will relook at everything all over again, and that's one of the lines we kind of wait till the very end.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, with that, I'd like to move on to item 6700, main and manholes. Typically speaking, these are our supplies that we need in the distribution and collection system. We've added 10 more eye hydrants this year. In 2024, we installed, I think we've got 8 of them installed, and we got 2 more left to go. And these are hydrants that give us some telemetry on what's going on within the collection system, and actually can predict and give us an idea of a water main break that's in the process of occurring. I'd like to move down now to 7010, machinery and equipment. That is enterprise vehicles, so those are our the pickup trucks and so forth that we're leasing. Computer software, we've got $112,000 budgeted this year, so this is going to include an Office 360 licensing and updates to our GIS software. So that's the mapping of the water mains and the sewer and all that. We have to keep that up to date so we can continue to use it. Also, we're budgeting $100,000 in land acquisition. That would be for water system expansion, as I might have touched on earlier. I'd like to skip down to 8061 interest. So in the central bank, so we financed what's called meter interface units back in 2022, and this is essentially the interest on those, or the payment or the interest on the MIUs. Then we have interest on Illinois EPA loan L175642, and that is the Burchard Water Treatment Plant. And we began payments in 2024, and that'll go to 2043. The next one down is 56 or IEPA 5614 loan. That is for well 11 and the water main replacements we did in 2024. Again, that's about $34,000, and it will go until 2043. A couple more loans left. 3084. That's back in 2015 when we did the big 4 projects. That's about $46,000 a year in interest. And then we have 5271, which is Phase B. That was started in 2018, and that will that's about $70,000 per year, and that will go till 2037. Okay. So with that, I'd like to go to the sewer fund. We'll start with revenue, and I think that's all I'm really going to have time left to get through. Just for residential services, we're bringing in about $2.9 million on the sewer side, with industrial services including $360,000 per year, and commercial services at about $955,000 per year. Capital improvement surcharge, as you recall, we did a increase in the capital improvement to pay for the wastewater treatment plant, and we're anticipating about $4.5 million generated through that, as well as city reimbursement fees. That's item 4545, and that's garbage billing reimbursement. On the expense side, and I'll see if I can, Mayor, you can stop me whenever, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. I don't have a tremendous amount, but I don't think we're going to get through everything we tried to get done here. Again, talking about the labor, we haven't quite gotten to that place yet, so we've just budgeted in what we were planning to spend with that standard 3% increase. However, we're looking at the wages for 2025. See, chemical costs, we're at down at 6115. We're budgeting about $175,000 for chemicals. We've seen a steady increase in the cost of chlorine and the various water treatment chemicals. That just continues to go. If you will, look at 6170, contracted infrastructure and maintenance. That is sewer lining. So about $450,000 of that is sewer lining. The rest is general repairs. So we're budgeting about $630,000 there. And if you'll skip down to 6510 NPDS permit fee. This is an annual fee we pay to the EPA when we have our national discharge permit renewed. So that's coming up. Also, again, $50,000 in postage and billing. And if you'll skip down to 6655 sludge management. So we've got increased cost on labor, and also there's been EPA mandated changes to how the sludge from the wastewater plant is spread onto farm fields. So that is included, and that's for the reason for the increase on sludge handling. If you will, let's see, we'll go to the next one here. If you'll skip to 7010 machinery and equipment, those are sewer-related vehicle enterprise leases. They're the $1,860. Again, computer software, we've got $112,000 in the budget. Again, a portion of that's going to be for the new Office 360 upgrade, Esri, and then licensing and consulting. Under interest, I'd like to move down to 8060. This is the enterprise lease vehicles in terms of the interest on the existing fleet. The other one was a new vehicle. And I did get that right, correct, Michelle? The difference between 7010 and 8060?
Difference between 70, 10, 60. There's just different components to when those lease payments come in.
Gotcha.
There's a maintenance component and interest component.
Okay, and then skipping down to 8090, the vac truck, which council approved recently, about $24,000 there. And it looks like we're going to be making our last bond payment for bond 2014A on December of 2024, so that one will be dropping off. That's why that one's a 0.
What number is that?
That is 2014A. And as I understand, what'll happen is the normal payment will just roll over to 2014B until that one's paid off. So, and then interest, so we've got also EPA loan 3976, and that was again for the Big Four, started in 2015, and there's $46,000 budgeted for interest on that loan. All I've got left is storm.
Manager Boyer.
Yes.
Yes, I have a question. Why do we have 2 line items for uniforms? Who are these uniforms? We have this one that is the 6775, and then we have uniforms. Where's the other uniform? I can't remember. Oh, I mean, I said that. I just-
Joy, I think it's between the water and the sewer. So when we have folks that are getting the uniform, they're getting essentially they get uniforms through Phelps, and we split it depending on who is getting them. So you got water operators that get them, and you got wastewater operators that get them. They go separately.
Okay, so there are 2 different departments that are getting uniforms, right?
Right,
Okay.
correct. Okay, storm sewer fund, this should go rather rapidly. We have, on the revenue side, you can have a look at that, but the capital improvement surcharge, it's roughly $4 per resident, so that's item 4535, and essentially that's coming on your water bill, so that's generating that $507,000 per year. And then on the stormwater labor, we have 1 employee dedicated to the storm system. However, that position currently isn't filled, but we've budgeted $52,000 for that. We also saw an increase, and I probably should have mentioned this earlier. IMRF had an increase from 1.08 to 2.06, so we're counting that water, sewer, and storm. Obviously, also workman's comp this year went up substantially to 2445. Well, in the storm section, it's 2445. However, enterprise-wide, we're paying 30% more on workman's comp. Bad debt expense, we got about $20,000 in write-offs in the storm budget. And depreciation expense, if you'll go down anticipated Adams project completions and associated depreciation. So that's about $440,000 this year, 2025. And then engineering, we're adding $150,000 for downtown storm projects and other projects related to stormwater and streets. Again, the storm carries some of the bonds as well. I'll just touch on a couple, or this one here, which is 2015A, and that interest amount is about $150,000 a year. I'm not sure when that one is coming to a close. I'm guessing probably in the 2035 range.
I'm hesitant to make a guess.
Okay, gotcha. Maybe 25. Anyway. Okay, that concludes the budget, Cal, for what I have tonight. Any questions on overall questions or anything?
Seeing none, thank you.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda would be public comments from the finance cow. No public comments. I'd take a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Sellers, second by Parker. All in favor? Do we?
Aye.
Roll.
We have to take a roll call.
Clem,
Aye. Aye.
Simmons, thank you.
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Stacy,
Aye.
Shadle,
Aye.
and Sellers.
Aye.
Motion passes.
We'll give a couple minutes